Wisp Sports Radio, the voice of women in sport.
Welcome to Season 1, Episode 3 of the lovely Biertrix on Wisp Sports. I'm the lovely Biertrix, and at Wisp Sports we believe women in sport deserve equal coverage. So I'm joined today by Valentina Nicosia Valdemort from Dublin Roller Derby. Welcome, Valdemort.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for having me.
We're going to learn all about Dublin Roller Derby today. You might have noticed on your social media feeds that they've certainly been active talking about some of their insurance woes they've had. But I thought, first of all, it'd be really interesting to learn a little bit more about Dublin Roller Derby. So tell me, Valentina, how long has Dublin Roller Derby been in existence?
I had to go check on my jersey. Estimated 2009. We have been around quite some time at this stage.
So 10 years of roller derby in Dublin. That's a fantastic achievement. How many skaters do you have?
In the league itself, we have 100, more or less 100 members. But skaters, we have 3 travel teams. So that's about 20, 40, I can do maths, 55 active skaters on teams, plus all our rookies. So I'd say there's a good 80 skating members.
That's an amazing amount of skaters. And you've got 3 teams. So just briefly, do they have names, these teams?
We're extremely original at Dublin Roller Derby. A, B, and C teams.
That's a classic. But where do you train in Dublin?
At the moment, we are not, due to the insurance woes that we'll be talking about later, but we train in Dublin City Centre in a place called Inchicore. The Dublin City Council has lots of gyms and lots of halls around the city centre, and we are very lucky to be able to use one of them in Inchicore.
So that's fantastic that you're based right in the city centre there and people are really able to access it. And just thinking about kind of Dublin Roller Derby, 10 years old, so quite old. And I'm guessing the oldest league in Ireland, is that right?
Correct. Oldest and biggest league. Just because we're the capital, we obviously have more people, and that's just the nature of things. But yes, the oldest, by no means the only one. There's a good few leagues in Ireland.
Brilliant. How many in general do you know?
Well, the main ones are that I can think out of my head. I'm really sorry, guys, if I've forgotten you. Limerick, Belfast, Cork, Waterford. There's 2 in Waterford. Galway. So there's about another 6 or 7 leagues, ECC as well. So yeah, about 6 or 7 leagues.
Right. So it's quite popular over in the Republic of Ireland as much as it is in the rest of Europe, as we've already seen that, and then also America. Where are you ranked, Valentina, in terms of the WFTDA, so the Women's Flat Track Roller Derby Association rankings? They're the golden numbers that everybody loves to know about. Whereabouts did Dublin sit?
Well, the February rankings, because the March ones haven't come out yet, have us at 38. But you piqued my curiosity earlier, and I went onto the Flat Track Stats website just to see, because sometimes they calculate in real time, by no means accurate, but they have us at 27, and I had a little squee of excitement.
That's a really big jump for you. That's a super improvement.
It is.
Brilliant. And last year, just thinking back, I remember that you were at the European Continental Cup that was held in Birmingham. How did you place there? We had Kid Block on a previous episode, and I know that Tiger Bay did pretty well. How did Dublin do?
We placed second. We lost to Callio Roller Derby. Callio Rolling Rainbow is the full correct name. In an interesting final, we were up, and then there was a couple of lead changes, but in the end, they ended up winning. So we placed second. We came home with silver.
Excellent. Well done. I do remember that game. It was really exciting. So if you are interested in that, do get yourself on YouTube and find it. It was a nail biter of a game, and you'll be able to hear my lovely voice because I commentated it. So 2000, just a little plug for me. 2019 season, what's going on there? Where do Dublin want to be?
We want to be in Division 1 championships. We truly believe that we can. We have been steadily climbing those rankings. We have been playing very strategic games. We were in Boston, I want to say last weekend because it only feels like last weekend, but at the beginning of March, where we played a tournament called Lobster Roll, and we played against we have 3 other teams. So we are steadily climbing that ranking, those WFTDA rankings, in order to get in the top 28 to get an invite to divisionals. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. And so that end goal is to get placed within the top 28, so you can go on to those playoff season. And do you have to? Well, I guess you do, but going out to places like Boston for Lobster Roll, there's a lot of fundraising efforts that take place for Dublin Roller Derby.
There is. We do a lot of fundraising because one of the problems about playing roller derby in Ireland is that we are an island. So in order to play competitively, our A team needs to either travel or have leagues travel to them. And we don't really have that much choice there. So a lot of fundraising efforts on behalf of the whole league to help with some travel assistance, and for the B and the C team as well, who also need to travel outside of Europe at this stage to keep climbing on the rankings. So we do a lot of table quizzes, and we do like GoFundMe campaigns. We try to get limited merch out. We have lots of really creative people to help us with that. But yeah, one of the setbacks of being in Ireland is that it's an island. So obviously it's the same people over and over again.
Yeah, so you've got a kind of limited audience in lots of ways in terms of selling on your merch and things like that. And traveling abroad means that you can play those higher ranked teams to be able to get your own rankings up. And I know it's something that the UK struggled with and Europe struggled with right at the beginning, where there wasn't enough teams that were centrally located, if you like, to be able to play and boost your own rankings. So I recognise that that's a challenge. And of course, it is a challenge for our North American and Canadian and Australian teams in the WFTDA as well. But thinking about Dublin specifically, you do have that captured audience already, so you do have a little bit more of a challenge than the rest of us. So I feel like Dublin are constantly hustling already. So they're hustling to make sure they get people coming along on game day. They're hustling to make sure they get skaters interested to come through their new skater programs and join their teams. They're hustling to fundraise to be able to go and play in amazing tournaments and increase their rankings. That must be pretty tiring as a player, Valentina. Tell me a bit about, what do you do on the team? What's your position?
I'm a blocker in the small pack. We just kind of joke about it. There's a few of us that are quite small. I'm a blocker for my sins. So that's what I do on track. I try to block.
Do you skate A, B, or C?
I'm on the A team.
Okay, and how long have you skated on the A team for?
Oh God, 2.5 years, 3 years.
So you're pretty settled in there then?
Well, I hope to keep my spot for another couple of seasons, yes. But by no means is that taken for granted. There's a lot of push from the bottom, and there's a lot of competition. So as you said, keep hustling.
Absolutely. And hey, it's healthy as well, right? To have all that competition between teammates. So
it is, but it gets real scary.
When you can feel them snapping at your wheels.
I mean, I want everyone to get real good, but I also want to get real good. So, it's a bit of a catch-22.
How long have you been playing roller derby for?
God, I think I passed my minimum skills 6 years ago. So I did my bit through the B team. We didn't have a C team back then, so B team, and then I did I think 2.5 years on the B team, and then 2.5 years on the A team.
I see. And you didn't skate prior to that? It wasn't part of your lifestyle, or did you just kind of see advertisements for Dublin Roller Derby and think like, yes, this is it. This is exactly what I want to do with my time and money?
No, I did not think that at all. No, I just really wanted to learn how to skate. I had absolutely no idea what I was getting myself into. I just saw a comic book about roller derby, and I Googled it, and they were very conveniently holding an open skate like that week. So I went on, put on a pair of skates, fell down, got back up, fell down a couple of more times. I couldn't even stand straight, or I couldn't turn. And then 6 years later, I managed to get on a team.
And finally, I was on a team. I think you've just described pretty much every roller derby skater's journey into roller derby, in that you see it in a really random place and then turn up and realize very quickly that you actually can't skate at all.
And back then, there wasn't as much hype around like the women's sports movement, and there wasn't enough, like as you said earlier, there wasn't that many teams. So I genuinely had no clue what I was getting myself into. And then suddenly they introduced contact in one of the sessions, and I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And I didn't mind because I come from a background of martial arts, so like that doesn't scare me. But I genuinely didn't know what roller derby was until all of a sudden I showed up and they had a scrimmage session, which is a mock game. I was like, oh right, okay.
I love that you didn't just run away. Oh right, okay, it's not for me. Bye bye. But as you said, you've already had.
Absolutely not. I loved it.
Brilliant. This is brilliant. So tell me about Dublin and playing in Ireland and the challenges of playing for Dublin Roller Derby. I've been over to Dublin a long time ago now when I was still skating. I came and skated against your B team. And I remember that our venue was way out of the city centre. There was a whole bus journey and everything. Is that a difficulty for you actually getting space to play?
Unfortunately, so I think that there's a lot of, I was going to say something wrong, but like there's a lot of lack of knowledge around roller derby, and when people think that we play a contact sport on skates, they get very, I don't want to say precious, but nearly precious with their floors. So a lot of places would outright refuse us. And then we need, as you know very well, there's certain measurements in space that need to be considered when you're putting down the track, because obviously there's nowhere in Ireland or very few places in the world that have a roller derby track preloaded onto their game, onto their floor. But yeah, so space is a big issue. Getting people to our games is another big issue because again, it's the same demographic over and over again. So the venue that we have is a little bit far out, but it is very big and spacious, and it allows us to play. So we're very grateful. But yeah, it's the popularity of the sport, I think, and the lack of knowledge around it, and the lack of reputation that it may have in Ireland. Ireland is actually very rooted in sports. It has its own sports. It has like Gaelic football, and it has hurling, and it has soccer. And people start those sports when they can barely walk, and they go around kicking balls and playing with hurls. But roller derby is something of a bit more of an adult age, so it's kind of hard to get into that market of, look, there's a new sport when everyone else is already so engaged in all those, and rugby. So Ireland is very actually sport positive. It's just because there is so much sport available, sometimes it's a bit hard to carve a little niche for yourself.
Yeah, it sounds like you're really kind of competing with all of those other sports that do bring in youngsters. As you said, before you can even walk, you're kicking a ball, and you're battling then against the awareness of what is roller derby. Does the fact that it's a female sport cause any problems as well? A female physical sport cause any problems, or do you find that that's not a challenge at all?
From my point of view, no. I think it's the fact that it's a sport that doesn't have a ball that people seem to be baffled about. But I don't think that the fact that it is a women's sport has issues, because women's rugby is actually quite popular, not as popular as the men's, but it is. I think there is a good movement happening in Dublin at the moment and in Ireland in general.
Okay, so that's really great news that that's not part of the reason why you're struggling. You know, sometimes kind of feeling like you can be taken seriously for your sport, especially one that's unconventional because we don't have balls, we don't have a ball in it, can feel like a challenge, can feel like an absolute challenge. I can't believe I just said that. And as you said, so that awareness of then, oh, you're going to tear up my beautiful wooden sports court floor with your wheels and your knee pads and things like that. It's having those conversations time and time again with venues, isn't it, that can be a struggle for leagues?
Yes, definitely. And it's just, again, the fact that it's really hard to even just get somewhere to promote it, to explain it, to talk about it. And like roller derby, it can be quite complicated to explain to someone who has never seen roller derby before. And people, I can appreciate that people don't go, oh, I don't understand what this is, I'm not going to bother. I can appreciate that, but there is no platform to maybe get past that, jump that. There is no way of televising it. There is no way of showing what it's like in real life. Because if you were to talk about any sport, it's much more boring than to just watch the sport. And because of all the issues that we talked about earlier, that there's no real central venues and whatnot, it's a lot harder to get someone off the street. If you had a venue in town and you had a big sign that's like, oh, free roller derby today, I bet you there'd be a lot more people walking in than having to get a train and a bus and, go purposely to a venue for it.
Yeah. So that's a real difficulty. That central venue is definitely one of your challenges. I can see that. And then also, as you say, it's just that barrier of it being a new sport in a country that's already got lots of sport going on. How do you make people more interested in it? And of course, if they saw it for 5 seconds, they'd be absolutely in love with it, as we all are. How do you go about recruiting players? So you've already mentioned the fact that you are in a central location, you're Dublin. So you've got lots of people coming to the city, lots of new people coming to the city all the time. But then we have that coupled with the fact that you train centrally, but then you hold games further away. So how do you attract new players into your sport? How do you promote that?
We are very lucky. We have an amazing marketing team, if I say so myself. We have an amazing marketing team that actually spends so much time on social media and on graphics, along with our Learning to Skate committee, to try to make sure that we have a certain amount of weeks so that it doesn't get boring and repeating. So I think that our biggest recruiter is our social media. And then from that, the word of mouth, because you got a lot of people who are very enthusiastic. And as you know, you get that derby fever at the beginning and you talk to it about all your friends and you're so excited and excitable about it. So you just kind of recruit yourself. So it's kind of like, it's nearly, I don't want to say a pyramid scheme, but it's kind of like a pyramid scheme where I tell 3 people and then those 3 people tell other 3 people. And our social media is, I believe, is on point. It's really good. It's always really on time. And we have really nice art and graphics that go out that do attract the eye and do attract attention.
Yeah, you certainly do have some fantastic social media presence, and you recently rebranded last year as well, and I thought your rebrand was wonderfully done, very classy indeed, and all those graphics that you're then able to take on and build that strong brand to associate with Dublin Roller Derby is fabulous.
Thank you very much.
That's all right. So you've got no problem in getting a hold of all those new skaters because you're running a fantastic pyramid scheme.
They're going to kill me up at home base.
You've got your central training position, which is great as well for attracting those new players. But then we keep coming back to this fact that your venue for games is so out of town. How do you then go out and recruit your audience? Do you find that it's mainly friends and family that come and watch, or do you have a hardcore fan base that you are building up over the 10 years?
I believe it's mainly our friends and family that are becoming our hardcore fan base, to be honest. It's very hard to get bums on seats at all times. Even when we did have a more central venue that unfortunately then couldn't host us anymore, it was still very hard to get people in. I don't. If anyone out there has any ideas on how to get that sorted, I am all ears. But it is. That's our biggest problem, I think, is getting bums on seats at the moment. Because even if there are other leagues who want to come and see whatever games are happening in Dublin, it's still a 2-hour drive, and I don't think, I'm very grateful, but I don't expect anyone to do that.
Yeah, you could be keen on roller derby, but a 2-hour drive could put you off it, definitely. But somehow you still manage it with your core fan base, and that's absolutely fantastic. Bums on seats being one of the big things that brings in money to help the league out in terms of your training endeavours, your touring endeavours, and then also paying those bills. And I want to talk a little bit about one of those bills in particular, and that's the insurance trouble that you're going through right now. As I said at the start of this podcast, it's you can't have missed it on the social media if you follow roller derby in any capacity through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The kind of call went out this week to say, what can we do and help us. But Valentina, I'd like you to just tell us from Dublin's perspective, what has happened? What is going on here?
So, like any sports group in Ireland, we require public liability insurance, and it's something that is renewed every year. Now, I don't know whether any of you follow the news, but there's a big B word happening at the moment on our neck of the words, where things aren't really being decided on. I'm just trying to be as vague as possible, see if you can find out what I'm talking about. But unfortunately, that actually has had an impact on insurers and insurances here in Ireland, because a lot of the risks are coming from the UK. So because no one knows what's really happening, Ireland is just kind of being cautious. And like, I don't blame anyone, you know, it's at the end of the day, it is a risk business. But we are not even getting quotes. People are just refusing to insure us because the risk category, for some reason that no one really understands, for roller derby, has been moved to the high risk. Apparently we're as equivalent of a risk as skydiving and abseiling, which to me, playing the sport is mind blowing. You can't see me doing hand gestures, but mind blowing. So the public liability insurance that we used to have up until a couple of days ago was €2,500. Acceptable, you know, for that amount of people. The only quote that we managed to get was €1,500. Like, we cannot afford that. We are a small league, so an increase of like 700%. And we, as any other roller derby league, is volunteer based, is, you know, volunteer led. Like, none of us have that amount of money to be putting into insurance. So we find ourselves at a bit of a loss. Like, what are we going to do? So everyone put on their little thinking hats on. And at the moment, while we try to sort out our insurance business, we've kind of outsourced our training within, you know, in inverted commas. This is where Ireland is such a beautiful place. Other leagues have come to our rescue, as in they have opened their trainings to us if we want to, under their public liability. So like, we were trying to get people to stay on skates, and like, because if you don't practice, it's very easy to fall out of practice. It's very easy to fall out of practice as it is. So we have been told that we can go and skate with other leagues, but that doesn't solve our problem that we still need to be able to train ourselves. So ... for the time being.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fantastic that your neighbouring leagues have come to your rescue, in effect, to kind of offer up their space and their own insurance to try and help you and keep those skills going. Because it's not just those 18 players, it's, you know, it's right the way down, isn't it, to your newer skaters who are just in the middle of learning all these new skills, where it's really important that they continue to be able to practice those and receive that tuition on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and keep their interest.
Well, and yeah, exactly, keep their interest, because this is a self-funded sport, right? Roller derby doesn't really receive government grants. It doesn't have those huge crowds coming in like you see with football, where you can make some money and have some in reserve. So we really rely on our own skating members to be able to help leagues function through dues, and also new skaters coming in, as you said, and then on top of that, all of our kind of fan base and the turnaround we do with merch and things. So to impact every part of your league is massive for you, and could really jeopardize your league.
And to be honest, it's not just us. We just happen to be the first people whose insurance is up. This is going to be something that everyone is going to have to face. And I've read some articles in the news, whereas there was like a children's play area that had to close down because they couldn't get insurance. There were certain nightclubs that had to close down because they couldn't get insurance. It is not just us, Dublin Roller Derby. We just happen to be the first roller derby league who needs their insurance renewed.
I'm completely with you. So this could be a domino effect if that big old B doesn't get sorted out soon. Who have you talked to in terms of local government? Have they been very helpful? Is there been some support from your local sports development, or?
We have a group of people that reside around the area where we train that have drafted letters to the local TDs. I don't know if there has been a reply as of yet. Now, this is all very new. So this only really happened a couple of days ago. So we're still in the middle of trying to figure everything out. Letters have been drafted. information has gone out. We're kind of dividing the tasks. So I've been dealing with the kind of the media and trying to get the word out there with Snowy and on social media. And then other people have been kind of looking after the other side. And then kind of we all pull in and try to like, oh, what did you guys find? What did you guys find? I don't think there's been any answers as of yet. And we are hoping to attract some attention, especially because there's local elections at the moment. So we're kind of trying to capitalize on that. But I'm not 100% sure there's been a reply as of yet.
And as you said at the start of this sorry tale about your insurance, is that you're all volunteers. So you're doing this on top of your day jobs, on top of your home lives, you know, on top of just being a functioning person. You're then having to kind of navigate around insurance companies and local councils. That must be taking up a huge amount of time already, and we're only a couple of days into that.
Yeah, and I'm sure that you will back me up on this one. When you play roller derby, you don't really have that much time to give to anything else as it stands. But yes, like it's been a bit of a whirlwind at the moment, and then you've sent so many emails and you've spoken to so many things that you don't even remember what you did anymore. And I spent most of the weekends like looking up like what can we do, and none of us are experts, so we're kind of all, as you said, like I don't know if any people have actually renewed their car insurance, but having to go insurance shopping, that is tedious and very boring. And imagine doing that as at a bigger scale for 100 people and with a lot more at risk than, okay, I can't drive my car for a couple of days. But yeah, but that's one of the beautiful things about roller derby is that in times of needs, we all pull together. And Dublin Roller Derby is one of those leagues that every drama that, because at the moment it is a drama and it will get solved. I am 100% sure it will get solved. We always pull together and we always make things happen. It is a beautiful part of our community.
It really is. It really, really is. And I have no doubt that you will get it sorted. I really hope you do. Just from a personal point of view, because I'd love to come over and visit Dublin Roller Derby really soon. Is there anything our listeners can do to help? Is there anything where you think, you know, if we put a shout out, maybe people will know about something? Or what can we do as kind of people just watching this drama, as you called it, unfold?
Well, you can do a couple of things. One, you can keep an eye on our social channels that we're going to tell you in a little while, I assume, because there might be a call out for a GoFundMe, or there might be a call out for campaigns of some sort, like buy our merch so we can raise money. Or you can just donate money. We're always accepting that. But more importantly, if anyone knows anything about public liability insurances in Ireland, or has any contacts or any type of information that could be useful to us, I couldn't say in school, there is no stupid question. Please contact us.
Well, I don't think you can ask for more than that. And I'll certainly be looking out for your fundraisers. And I really hope that it doesn't get to that. But obviously, we'll support you as much as we can if it does come to that.
Much appreciated.
That's what I'm here for. Valentina, we're coming towards the end of our podcast, and I really appreciate you kind of taking this time out of what is a really busy time to talk about this issue with us. Is there anything that I might have missed today that you can think of that you would want to be able to say about the insurance or Dublin Roller Derby or?
Not particularly, no, and that we're awesome and follow us on social media, obviously, because apart from being great skaters, we're actually really funny too. But no, on a serious note, thank you so much for having us and having me and letting me vent a little bit about this insurance problem and the B word and whatnot. I am confident that things are going to go okay. So publicly, thank you to everyone who has supported us, and to the league. I don't know what we would do without every single one of us there trying to sort this out, but I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover about this woo and drama.
Excellent. Well, you've talked about how great your social media is. Can you just tell us where we can follow you?
Of course, we are everywhere. We watch you. On Facebook, we're Dublin Roller Derby. On Twitter and on Instagram, we are at Dublin RD, so for Roller Derby. And we have a website, it's called the website, www.dublinrollerderby.com. And you can have a look at all our pictures, and you can have a look at all our headshots and our teams and our officials and whatnot. So yeah, get involved.
Conversations from the world of women's sports. This is Wisp Sports Radio.
Well, that's our third episode. I'll be back next month with another amazing podcast on something to do with roller derby. In the meanwhile, follow Wisp Sports on Facebook to catch our Facebook live show Face to Face, where I'll be sharing more roller derby news and some tips every other week. Be sure to subscribe to Wisp Sports on your podcast player. The show notes for this episode can be found on the lovely Biertrix show page at wispsports.com. And while you're on the website, you'll find a lot more coverage of women's sports, from podcasts to videos, interviews and blogs covering all sports around the world. Follow us and share your comments on social media at Wisp Sports and at Biertrix. We would love to hear from you. If you have any suggestions for guests or would like to tell us what you think of the show, drop us a line at info@wispsports.com. Until the next time, thank you for listening and supporting women in sport everywhere.